Good evening. Welcome to WSBI, your resource for success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring women-owned businesses from across the country. And now, for your host, Kimberly McLemore.
Good evening and welcome to WSBI, your Resource for Success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring women-owned businesses from across the country. I am your host, Kimberly McLemore, but welcome to a special edition of the show tonight. With us we have Abhijit Ganguly, CEO of Upwards Magazine. Abhijit runs his empire from Kolkata, India, despite living with transverse myelitis and with chronic pain as his constant companion. Abhijit created a powerful, positive, and uplifting digital magazine where he interviews folks from around the world who have inspiring journeys and who had to overcome great odds. This magazine gives hope to its readers. Abhijit also founded the first support group for transverse myelitis sufferers in India. Recently, he was diagnosed with palsy and believes that life's limitations can inspire us to strive for heights we may not have reached over otherwise. So, without further ado, please welcome to my platform, Abhijit Ganguly. Hello, Abhijit. How are you?
Yeah, Kimberly. Hello, all the way from Kolkata, the city of joy in India. And I'm so excited to be on your show and really thrilled. And thanks for inviting me.
Well, welcome, and I'm excited for you to be on the show too, and I'm sure the listeners are going to be extremely shocked that I have somebody all the way from India on, and that's a blessing because that means we are above and beyond just our being in our country means we are globally on the show, and being that we have the show on 9 other platforms, that's even more of a blessing. So many people will be able to hear this interview and hear your story tonight. So why don't you do me a favor and tell the listeners just a little bit more about yourself besides what I've already read, and just tell them just a little more about your journey while you and how you got started.
Well, thank you. It's my honor to be here. So basically, my name is Abhijit Ganguly, and I'm from Kolkata. It's a city. It's a metro city in India, and it's a city. It's called the City of Joy. And it's a city where Mother Teresa spent all her life. So I come from a very humble background, but I always had the passion to do something. Especially, I was working for a business magazine, but I always had that urge to write on issues, on social issues, art, culture, music, etc. But being a business magazine, they really didn't like the idea much. So there was a constant struggle inside me, like the urge to follow my passion. And finally, I quit my job in the magazine and started my own initiative. It's called Upwards. And that's how it started off, to write more on social issues, inspiring people. And being on the media, I also saw the other side of media, because media kind of sometimes be so biased. And you take, I think it's everywhere, not only in India, everywhere. Like when you start reading early morning newspaper, it's only about violence or politics or negative things. And I think none of us really wants to read something early in the morning. And I think there are too many good things also happening all around the world. And unfortunately, those things doesn't get highlighted. And it's very important because, especially in today's time and age, it's very important because I always believe a person from it may be from the youth in the US can inspire a youth in Kolkata, for instance, and vice versa. So it's very important to bring out these stories, especially, and it's because these are very tough times, and I think it's more these kind of stories come up. It really helps everybody to motivate to keep on this journey. And by God's grace, I started the journey, and this is how it started. But also one big thing in my life it's been a life-changing event. Thing. I was a normal thing. Nothing. I didn't have really any disease as such. But way back in 2003, I was suddenly I was watching a soccer match on TV, and fine evening, and suddenly I started getting pain in my neck, and I thought maybe because I was not sleeping properly or something might have hit. But what happened? It gradually, as the evening progressed to night, I started losing sensation, and I was kind of paralyzed because I couldn't move my legs, neither my hands, and it was like the first thing which really struck me. I was like I was going to die. That was the first feeling, because I think the energy inside you suddenly, because I was not able to move my legs, neither my hands, nothing, and that was a very shocking experience. So that was a night time, so I was awake whole night, and eventually in the morning I called my family doctor. He came down, and he said he also couldn't understand what was. So I was admitted to uh, my hospital, which is run by my school. I went to a missionary school, and this hospital belongs to them also. So anyway, so that's doctors, they suggested for MRI, immediate MRI. I was very young that time. It's way back 2003. I was just in the first year of my college, and at that time you have a lot of dreams, because you're just starting your journey in career. So, and I was lying in the ICU bed without knowing what happened. I was fine, and that was the first time actually in my life I went to hospital. I've never really, by God's grace, I never went to hospital as such. So anyways, the MRI was done, and the report said a disease called transverse myelitis, and it's an autoimmune disease. It's kind of hits your, like a virus hits your spinal cord, and it destroys we have a fiber in our nerves, which really generates that electric impulse in your nerves. So what happens when this virus hits your spinal cord? The nerve get destroyed, and these are normal, like natural things. Like once it's damaged, you can't recover. It's like God gifted thing. These are natural things. You can't insert something there. So so they put me on steroids. That's the only thing the doctors can give at that point in time.
Wow.
So eventually I got some movement impulse back there, and I started to kind of. So that was a really tough phase, and unfortunately, this is a disease there's no cure for it, and still today, I'm talking of 2020, there is no cure as such. So it's like it depends person to person. So it kind of affects you. So I kind of got these. So I have got limpness in my right leg, and I have spasms. Especially during the season change, and all. I get a lot of pains in my legs. So these are things which are part of it, and I have to live as long as I'm alive. So, and one of the reason I'm talking about this, because this whole event changed my perspective to life, because I was lying in a hospital bed, and I had a glass of water, and I was thirsty, and I couldn't get that glass of water. So I can't describe in words, like how you can't just literally pick up a glass of water and drink. And I think that's the biggest lesson I learned in that particular day. And being in a missionary hospital, I always had that picture of Jesus in front of us, and I always used to think, and why me? It was a question which often comes when I was lying in the bed. But I think that whole process changed my perspective of life. I said, no, I think this is a way of God letting you know that life is not to be taken for granted. We all have something to do in this life, because life is once, only one you live, and do something, whatever. So these are small things which always had in my subconsciously that I always wanted to do, and that's how I started upwards. And so I'm still surviving. 2016 I started, and 2020 I'm still surviving. That's this magazine, and thanks to friends like you, and it really motivates me and keep on going. So this is my
Wow. Well, you definitely, you gave us a lot of amazing information just the last few minutes, and I'm going to break some of that down because you said some things in there that I think that people need to hear again, so that they really understand your journey. Like you said, you were working, and you realized that working at this company, doing magazine, it was not your true passion. And so when you talk about passion and you talk about the things that we love to do, it's very hard for people just to get up and walk away. What moment, what was that one moment that you decided, I just can't do this anymore? What was that last thing on that job that made you decide to come home and say, I'm done?
Oh, I think it was a process. I think there is not a particular event or day or thing, but it was kind of process because I think this passion was building inside me like step by step, like every day it was kind of, I was getting closer to it. Like I said, let me start it. So finally one day when I did my master's in economics, and the thing is, like, when you are done a master's in economics and you're writing on art, culture, social issues, then they think you are kind of waste of your education, because that is what I heard from my senior colleagues and all. So which I never really believed in. I said, end of the day, people really need something inspiring to read and motivation, because I think it's very important, especially the media. They have to play this role. Otherwise, it has become too much of stereotype and biasness. So it's very important, like, we kind of highlight these stories. So it was that particular moment every day. Like, it was like eventually what happened. I think I started coming up, meeting a lot of people from different parts of the world. If they visited Kolkata, maybe it an artist or a theater or somebody, writer, author. I think these interactions made me feel that people all around the globe are the same. It's kind of thing. I think the problems or the issues we all, youth or anybody, goes through, it's the same everywhere. Maybe it's little here and there difference, but the basic things are same. And so I wouldn't kind of say that particular event really, but it was kind of gradual process. And I think there were few friends who kind of said, okay, this is you, please go on, carry on. There were not many, but few, but those few really kind of, I think they kind of felt the passion or the thing I was passionate about. So I would like to mention few names, especially like Tammy Collins Murphy or Tony Taylor, for instance. So these are the people who really encouraged me and push forward, I said.
All right. Yeah. And I think that's important. I like that, first of all, you did take a step of faith, no matter how you look at it. And because you have, most people, we all know, we realize we have what we call security when we're, working on our jobs, and we know that those paychecks are going to be consistent. But then when you decide to walk away from that, you realize your personal life doesn't change. Everything still, bills have to be paid, things have to be done. So when you make that step, and within your heart that this is the right thing to do, that, it takes a lot. That's a huge journey, because you're literally starting all over.
I'll just add what you said. You're exactly bang on, and this is what you really summarized it well, actually. So this is the thing. This is constant. Like, whenever I go to sleep at the end of the day, I feel these things. I'm doing the right or not, and especially, as you said, the paycheck thing. Because when I was working that point of a time, I was sure of a certain amount of money end of the month, which I am still not. But you know what really drives me that whole night is that the love and the affection I see from friends like you, and the letters I receive from my readers when they say this, what a nice article, or what a nice interview. I think that nothing can buy that feeling. And I think that is one feeling which really keeps me, pushed me all through.
Well, thank you. And that's very kind words you just said. And you're right. It's the love. It's what, that strength that people can give you to keep you from moving. Because I know, as a business owner, we all get those moments where we say, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. And it's not because you don't love the passion, you're not passionate about what it is you believe in, but it sometimes can be the environment and the surroundings and sometimes individuals that will make you feel differently about what it is you've created. But we all know that we have to, keep moving forward when it's something that we truly love to do. And the thing that I really love that you talked about earlier is that your magazine is about uplifting. We have so much negativity in our world that it's always great to see somebody show us that there is another side. Because we don't see that enough, and we don't hear about it enough. It's, every blue moon, because obviously the world we live in today, everybody's about having their ratings, and, if it's negative, it's more positive to get those ratings, if it's all bad versus it being all good. So I love that your journey is focused on inspiring others. And as you said, you don't just, it's not just located just in in India there, you're touching people worldwide. And I will let everybody know, yes, I have been one of those special people who've been in Upwards magazine, and I love the magazine. And it was a big highlight of what happened to me, and for my career and for my business. So I thank you for that opportunity.
You're welcome. And just to add on back to what another thing I should mention, like obviously the love, affection, but I always felt, I think it's very difficult to express in words. I think there's a kind of divine force also, because I've seen a lot of times when I'm going through a really tough time, something or the other happens. I think it's a kind of miracle of God. Very small things, subtle things we might not sometimes overlook, but I've always realized these small things or small connections or something which somewhere down the some kind of divine force really creates you. And I think this is one thing I realized, like if you're very passionate or something, I think somewhere down the line there's a kind of some driving force from if I say God.
Absolutely.
There's this power which really can give you that extra thing. If you are falling back, there is something to fall back or something to push you.
That's true. I absolutely believe that. But I definitely want to know, what did your family say when you said, I'm not doing this anymore, I'm walking off my job and I'm going to do this on my own? Because sometimes, as mothers and, fathers and, family members, we want our children to do the best that they can. And and after you've gone through school all that time, you've worked your butt off, and then all of a sudden you come home and say, I'm not working this job anymore. It's like, wait a minute. So how did the family take everything?
Yeah. So they are still like, they might be, they're really, I wouldn't say they're very much supportive, but they kind of sometimes feel that, because I think I don't blame them, because because it's like your relatives and the friends, they can keep on saying that your son, he could have done it better, or he could have by the time. So these things obviously they say that this to my parents and all. But again, I said they are still very supportive to some extent. Yeah, they are.
Well, and that's good. Yeah, like I said, I guess, no parent would be normal if they felt that everything was going to be perfectly okay, but knowing that you have the support, that's the most important part of it. So, we all as business owners definitely love what we do. And I talked a little bit about, sometimes that we do want to walk away or just say, I don't want to do this anymore. Talk about some of the challenges that you have faced with Upwards Magazine. So that people understand that being a business is not just all, it's not all just, the lucky charm, it's not all the perfect side of it. So what have those challenges been for you?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge for me has been the kind of revenue generation, and because this is one thing I'm still struggling, and though things are happening, but I still struggle. I'm still figuring out ways to generate some revenues and all. So, which is, I think, the primary challenge for me, because because it's a lot of hard work behind it, because my designer, he does the pay layout, plus a lot of time in terms of using especially the photographs, if somebody goes and clicks photograph, so a lot of kind of investments are involved, and this is where I really kind of struggling. This is my biggest challenge, if you say revenue kind of. Another thing I wouldn't, I don't know, but it's like sometimes people promise and they keep back away. I think, and this is one, I think, still like, I don't know, I don't have anything, but sometimes these things happen. But I said, God is always there to balance you. If somebody pulls you down, there's somebody to pick you up. So that I've seen in so many cases.
Absolutely. And you're right. It's unfortunate that you have those people who will promise things, and like I said, they don't always come through, but you're absolutely right that God definitely balances you where you need to be. And sometimes, at that point, we don't always look at that as a blessing when people, promise us something and they don't, deliver. But definitely God, I believe, is saying, hey, no, this is not the right person for you. I'm going to bring you the person that you need to have to help you continue to be successful. Yeah. So So those are some of the challenges that I just think that people need to understand. I think that when they hear that you have a business, all they see is the good side. And, people need to understand that we're human beings, just like you talked about,
Yeah.
with you having what you suffer from the transverse myelitis, and then, you have Bell's palsy, you going through a lot of things personally, but yet still every day you get up and pursue what you have inside of you to inspire other people. That's the part I love about who you are, is that you take the focus off of you, even though that focus should be on you. And
Right.
You have become a blessing for other people. And, I want you to continue your journey. And I think it's amazing, what you're doing. But I want you to tell somebody, if they were listening right now, what would you share with them about business? What information would you give another aspiring entrepreneur?
I think firstly one needs to be very passionate of what he or she is doing, because that's the key. That's a starting point. Because I personally believe if you are not passionate about something, then you are really not doing justice to yourself. And so that is very important, to be passionate. And number two is to be honest. Whatever you do, I believe in honesty, and this because honesty is something really important. And number three is like if uh, I think you should kind of if you are following a passion, you should be doing it in a realistic way. Also, it's not that you should know your limitations. Also, to some extent, it's know your limitations are very important. It's not to dream real big without you don't if you don't have you should be aware of your limitations. So basically three points. Number is to be passionate, number two is be honest, is very important whatever you do in life, and number three is to know your limitations also.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. Especially, I love the part about the limitations. As entrepreneurs, or want to become entrepreneurs, we sometimes take on much more than we can handle, and a big part of that can be fear of not wanting to let go, or thinking somebody's going to take something. But at the same token, there are so many things that we cannot do, and it's okay to say we can't do that, so that we can focus on the main portion of our business, and allow those other people to be inverted into our businesses and our lives in a positive way, to continue to help us grow and where we need to grow. And obviously, if there's other portions of the business where there's taxes and all those things that need to be done, that's not our specialty. So, I agree with that. Limitations is important to understand, because as a business owner, we just want to jump out there and think the world is going to accept everything right away, and we want to do everything and so that we can be successful. But you definitely need to know your limitations, and you definitely need to be honest about it yourself, and you absolutely need to have the passion. I couldn't have said that any better than the way that you put it. But I want to know as well that how can people get a hold of you? If they're interested in being a part of Upwards Magazine, can you tell the listeners how they can reach you?
Yeah, definitely. And they can search us on Facebook. Like, we are on social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. It's facebook.com/Upwards Magazine. And by the way, it's UPWORDS, because sometimes people make it Upwards, UPWARDS. It's not that, UPWORDS. And they can email to us upwardsmagazine@yahoo.com. Again, I'm saying it's Upwards Magazine, yahoo.com. So they can reach us. And even if they want to reach me on Facebook also, I'm there, Abhijit Ganguly. And definitely anybody can reach to us. And we'll be more than happy to connect with each and everyone there. And I always believe it's a community, it's a journey, and it's a community. We should build up community. It's very important.
Absolutely. All right. Well, it has been a pleasure having you on my show this evening, and I thank you, because I know our time difference is about 12 hours. So, I know it's nighttime there, and all that good stuff. So, enjoy the rest of your evening. And again, I thank you for coming on. Do you have any last words for my listeners this evening?
Yeah, I think it's my last words will be passionate. And especially it's very important to spread love and peace in today's world. and we should all come together. It's like, as I said, any youth in US can inspire a youth in Kolkata and vice versa. And we should all come together and help each other. And that is the biggest thing the world needs today.
Absolutely. And you guys heard it from Abhijit Ganguly, who is the CEO of Upwards magazine. And I'm telling you, it's a great magazine. Please be supportive. I'm excited. Like I said, I had the opportunity to be in the magazine, and it was an uplifting moment for me and for the rest of my followers. And so, again, thank you for everyone else. We are here every Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You can follow us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and we are now on about 7 or 8 other new platforms. So when you follow us through Facebook, you can see where you can connect with us. So there's no reason that you cannot hear this amazing interview and all the many other guests that I've had on board with me. So, again, thank you for listening tonight. We will see you in 1 week for some more amazing guests. Until then, enjoy the rest of your evening, and good night.
Good night, everyone. We will be back next Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Follow us on Spreaker, www.spreaker.com/user/WSBI. View our new WSBI website anytime at www.wsbillc.com and on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram.